popular physician said that people should use urine against the plague. Strangely enough, you could buy it under the name of essence of urine, which was basically just a bottle of the liquid. Back in medieval times, even the most renowned and highly trained doctors thought that sicknesses came from having bad blood in your system. Therefore, when people came to doctors with illnesses or different diseases, they were often diagnosed with an overabundance of blood. In painter, after some years, leeches started being used to drain blood from the victims. Scary enough, these keepers of leeches and bloodletting devices were more often than not barbers. Number 3. Clysters. This was extremely popular back then, and even royal families used this technique. One king, King Louis XIV, even had 2,000 clysters in his reign. You may know this technique under a different name. Today, they're called an enema.
The most shocking old-time medical practices. Heroin cough syrup. The pharmaceutical company Bayer coined the name heroin in 1898 and marketed the drug as a non-addictive cough medicine, among other uses. Heroin was sold in a variety of forms, mixed in cough syrup, made into tablets, mixed as an elixir, and put into water-soluble heroin salts. The whirling chair. A chair modified with a spring and lever system used to spin patients until they passed out. The belief was that all the spinning would cure conditions such as schizophrenia and other mental illnesses by shuffling the contents. Stink therapy. In the Middle Ages, the Black Death was thought to be caused by deadly vapors. Doctors were convinced that the key to fighting the disease was the use of therapeutic stink. They urged people to keep goats in the home and to store flatulence in jars. Each time the deadly pestilence appeared in the neighborhood, people were to open the jars and take a whiff.
To survive ancient hand-to-hand combat, you basically needed to stay far away from ancient hand-to-hand combat. Up until the late 19th century, surgeons had very little idea what caused infection and disease. One theory was that gunpowder was poisonous, and so the prescribed treatment for gunshots was pouring molten hot oil into the open wound to disinfect it.
For itself, the Spanish flu, which we'll cover in detail later on, took about as many American soldiers as combat did, and they were being ravaged by it even while still training at home in the States. And sphagnum moss turned out to be an excellent dressing for war wounds. It's light, has antiseptic properties, absorbs many times its own weight in fluids, and grows throughout Britain. Another thing that was discovered was the sterile properties of maggots. Yes, you heard that right. A badly wounded soldier stuck in no man's land for 2 days was finally brought in. The wounds he had were typically fatal because of infection, but the doctor attending him saw that the wounds were clean. There was new pink growth and no infection. The wound was, though, covered in maggots. That doctor was a professor of surgery at Johns Hopkins Medical School, and he publicized his findings. Research found that the maggots had medicinal properties. They ate only dead tissue, so they in fact cleaned the wounds, crawled into tiny recesses where topical antiseptics could not be applied. They gave off urea, which itself is an antiseptic that destroys staphylococcus and other bacteria, and they promoted the growth of healthy tissue.
With no warning, 250 of its inhabitants were hit by a deadly outbreak of madness.